Currently, there's not enough budgetary capacity to fully fund our declared climate emergency, as a great deal of the disposable general fund, year-end, one-time monies, and capital budgets have been dedicated to our declared homelessness emergency, working on housing crisis, working on the reimagination of public safety, and the necessary work on diversity and equity. All of these actions are important to our community and cannot be interrupted. Therefore, to fulfill our declaration of climate emergency and our stated goals, we must provide a new revenue stream that does not involve reducing these important actions by the city.
We have to have one. And it needs to be something that's not a sales tax, that's councilmanic. So thank you.
Right. Thank you.
A climate benefit district.
I'm surprised that there is not somebody drafting a bill, because I can't believe we're the only city that is trying to find revenue for this.
We will not give up.
All right, then item 8B is new. We got a heads up from Councilor Parshley, but I'll let her speak to this referral to staff and the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is new, but I spoke to it after our retreat when it was clear there was a lot of passion in our council and kind of a common goal to provide a specific dedicated fund for climate mitigation that was realistic and would actually get work done. I'm going to read a statement of why I think we have to look at a dedicated revenue stream that unless there's exigent circumstances such as a pandemic coming along, this money would be dedicated just like our parks money to climate work. And I'm just going to read one of the comments or sections out of the referral. Currently, there's not enough budgetary capacity to fully fund our declared climate emergency, as a great deal of the disposable general fund, year-end, one-time monies, and capital budgets have been dedicated to our declared homelessness emergency, working on housing crisis, working on the reimagination of public safety, and the necessary work on diversity and equity. All of these actions are important to our community and cannot be interrupted. Therefore, to fulfill our declaration of climate emergency and our stated goals, we must provide a new revenue stream that does not involve reducing these important actions by the city. And it's going to have to be its own. So real briefly, the three major requests are, we ask the staff, and this includes the finance and legal staff, to provide the best legal and viable option to provide a revenue stream dedicated to achieve our climate goals. The two ways we've reduced it that I'm looking to is evaluate state law for the possibility of either an excise tax, a property tax, a sales tax. However, the second bullet point is, if there is no specific Washington state option, then work to develop and write legislation that would be potentially sponsored by hopefully our LD22 representatives for the 2024 session. In this process, I know there's been a lot of work in our current budgets process to try to eke out some more money for climate work. What I'm asking for is a much more long-range plan from our climate program manager. What would it take not only on staffing and administration for climate work, but also monies that would provide pilot studies, grants, and incentives, as well as revolving loans and other work that we can do in our community. And then I recommend, and I think my finance committee will go along with it, that we add this to the future work plans and keep track of it. And I'm asking for finance and staff and legal to get a report out by mid-year of what this looks like to council by the end of first quarter to finance. And the idea would be to have some sort of recommended action by the January of 2024. Because personally, I went to a youth climate panel this weekend, and I think my urgency is even increased further. We really don't have a lot of time to wait for this. So I really don't want this to take more than 1 year. And I want the finance committee, and I think there's very apt support based on our last finance committee meeting that we really need to get this done. And I'm just looking for thumbs up to put this forward to the staff. And lastly, the reason I'm not bringing Pamela Braff, Dr. Braff into this is we need to spread some of this climate work outside of her area so she can get the other actions done. And my co-signers, thank you. Clark Gilman, Mayor Pro Tem, and the Mayor Cheryl Selby. She came back from Ickley and all the climate support she gives. She's a very good person to be as a co-signer.
All
Thumbs
right,
up.
I think we have consensus. All right. Yes, sure.
You guys sit in an interesting spot because I sat through the finance presentation on sort of the world of possibilities last month, and then at land use this last week we looked at Pamela's work plan and some of the work she's doing, and this is a significant need. I think we can get around the edges to get a staff team, but really, like, how will we get to the big issues and implement some of these bigger conversations that are significant? And I honestly, I think the first bullet of doing the research is in front of the finance committee. It's embedded in our work plan. I think the referral is good, but I do think that we need to front load all of our efforts into this 2023 legislative session. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to use any of the tools that are in front of us. We need a dedicated funding source, with the exception of a levy lid lift for operating that would, maybe look at some of the other pieces of the city. So yes, and I think for me is, what can we do to light a fire on this legislative session, realizing that all of these conversations are live, and we've just had talked about putting it on the front of our legislative agenda. So just want to, let's add an and.
Yes, got it. Councilmember Parshley.
I love it. And I think that's an excellent ask of legislative session. But having talked to Representative Bateman, a lot of the bills have already been written. And we may be a little late to get a specific bill for local funding options for climate for 2023, because they all have to be submitted by the 1st of December. And so most of the bills are being written. Therefore, if we find that there's no legal option, and the second bullet point of getting a long range plan from Dr. Braff was to make sure that we actually find a revenue stream that is adequate to what she thinks we need to do. And I agree with you. Yes, and absolutely, this should be, I think we talked about it, legislative agenda. Climate should be on the front page, and I think I heard it from all of us.
Definitely. I'm surprised that there is not somebody drafting a bill, because I can't believe we're the only city that is trying to find revenue for this.
I just think we
There
have to
could
beat
be,
this.
but at this point, I haven't heard of one, and I've been bugging candidate Beth Dolio, who's also currently working in climate as on her day job. So,
Councilmember Cooper, you're.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we need to beat this drum with our fellow cities that are doing this work. Like, we continue to get mandates without a funding source, and that's a problem. Like, we have to have one, and it needs to be something that's not a sales tax, that's councilmanic. So, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
A climate benefit district.
thank you for the addition.
Parks District. So, all right, I think that we're good.
Hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching.